And we're here. We're still in Truro. You saw the Facebook Live earlier on. We were with Prospect Union members who were on strike at Natural England. We're now up at Truro Hospital, where junior doctors are striking today, along with many others across the country. We're getting a lot of support here as the
despite the rain, and energy is really high, and we've had so much support from the public as well. Lots of sweets and treats.
It's constant beeping at Freehold. Yeah, despite the rain, there's quite a good energy here today, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you just outline what's brought you to this place to striking today?
Yeah, so I'm an F1, which means that I graduated medical school about 6 months ago, and just joined working in the NHS really. And over the last 6 months, I've kind of been working pretty hard. I've been responsible for some quite seriously ill people, and throughout that time, I've been paid £14 an hour, which is not a wage to be looked down upon. But throughout that time, there's also been huge shortages on the wards. I've looked at the other junior doctors that are ahead of me, because junior doctors range from people like myself to people that have been practicing for 15 years or longer. And it's just quite a bleak looking future. We're really understaffed, we're working really hard, and things just get harder and harder. And this campaign for us is a way of reducing those shortages, making conditions better for doctors so doctors stay and keep training and can help to get to those more senior positions that we need to break down the waiting list to get people seen after the pandemic. And without which, the NHS is just going to keep struggling more and more, and people's quality of care is going to get worse. So that's why we're all here. It's to get the NHS working again, and to get conditions better for doctors so they stay here and train and can actually have a future.
So is there a problem with retention with junior doctors seeing it all the way through to the end, is it?
Yeah, so back in 2010, about 80% of F2 doctors, so after practicing for 2 years, they will then choose to go into further training to become consultants and then lead medical care. That's now about 25-30%, and that's largely because of high levels of burnout. I think roughly 85% of foundation doctors regularly think about leaving the NHS and going abroad. Most other countries have much better quality of working conditions for doctors, and even then there's training bottle caps. It's really a struggle. And once you're in training, you're progressing on, spending more and more time just making the system work, learning and becoming better and becoming more able to look after our patients that trust us with that responsibility.
I think traditionally the view of a doctor as a career choice is it's considered a well-paid one, but it's not quite as simple as that, is it?
Yeah, well, it's that's part of the complicated conversation, that there are many people who are in lower salaries than doctors are, but we consider that doctors are some of the most specialised professionals out there. It's a highly selective career pathway. We've trained for a long time at a very high level. Our exams are very expensive, we have to pay for them ourselves. And like I said, the responsibility that we bear is much higher than many others. And I think part of the risk that we have here is if we don't invest in doctors, the quality of doctors that we have will go down, and the quality of care that the British public is going to get is going to go down. And that's what we all want to avoid. That's the spirit of the health service, and it would be it's if the government wants that, then they'll make the choices that they'll make. But we all think that people should get high quality care, and we should use the best of our resources to make sure that hospitals look after people as well as they can.
Are you optimistic that you can get the outcome that you want?
I think we're all very determined. I think the Health Secretary hasn't engaged with us very much. He's not been very encouraging in terms of showing goodwill or good faith. He's entered into conversations with the BMA without a mandate and then hasn't returned with one. So they've not shown themselves to be very receptive, but I think things have gone on long enough. The BMA is very determined to push for change and to actually not let things just stay as they are, otherwise we'll just keep bleeding doctors. So I think we'll do what it takes really until they come to the table and start talking to us.
Okay, thanks very much for talking to us, John. We'll just
Thanks.
have a little walk around here and chat to some other people here. I think we've got Lottie here. Is that right? Hi Lottie, you're happy to chat. You just tell us a little bit about yourself and your situation and why you're here today.
My name's Lottie. I am an A&E trainee doctor, and I'm striking today to get fairer pay for junior doctors across all specialties. I'm also predominantly striking because I want to work in a workforce which is the best. I want to work with doctors who are the best, and I see my colleagues going abroad. I see my colleagues leaving the NHS because they can't afford to pay for childcare, and they feel like that they are undervalued, and it breaks my heart because the NHS is something that most of us have grown up with, and having healthcare free at the point of access is an amazing thing. That we're one of the very few countries in the world to be able to provide that, and actually I think we're reaching a crisis point, and we will lose that because we're staff who are underpaid, unfortunately. We're overworked, and I want to come to work every day and be able to provide my patients with the best care that I can. I want to be able to treat every patient as I would want my mum and dad to be treated. And at the moment I just don't think it's a safe place to work, and something needs to change. A lot of us didn't want to strike. I didn't want to strike. But if it's the only thing that we can do to make the government listen, then it's a hard decision that a lot of us have had to make today.
And working on A&E, that's really the front line.
Yeah.
Just give us a bit of a flavour of what it's like there just now.
There's wait times that are for over 4 hours regularly. We're regularly understaffed, and I work with amazing colleagues, and I feel really fortunate actually at Trillist to work with fantastic consultants, fantastic nursing staff, fantastic paramedics, fantastic other junior doctor colleagues. But so many people come to work and they're burnt out, they're tired, they're stressed about things like paying their rent. There's colleagues of mine who've had to drop down from full-time work because they can't afford to pay for out-of-hours childcare. And it breaks my heart and it breaks their heart as well, that they can't provide the care to patients because they're tired, and they can't afford to pay for their childcare out of hours because it's more than £14 an hour to hire a nanny a lot of the time, and that's what we're being paid. We're being paid £14 an hour, and if you're having to pay more for childcare than to go to work, it's a really tough decision to make.
So morale is presumably quite low.
Morale is low. I think as doctors, we're quite a resilient bunch, and I think we will try and persevere as much as we can. We've gone through COVID. I worked in London during COVID in one of the main hospitals which dealt with COVID patients. So we are a group who've been through a lot in the past 2-3 years, and a lot of us have still come out fighting, but we are on our knees. The NHS is on its knees, and we just want the government to acknowledge that actually something has to change. As I said before, the NHS is just such a marvellous place to work, and it's such a great institution, and that's why we're striking, because we love our NHS.
And after all the training that you've done, all the personal investment that you've made into your career, could you see yourself getting to the point where you would actually have to change career, make that choice, or is there anyone else in that sort of situation do you think would have to decide to make a different career choice because of the financial reasons?
I'm at a point where I'm really lucky. I'm single, I don't have children, so all I have to do is look after myself. And I mean, at the moment, in terms of paying my rent, it's difficult sometimes. So I can't imagine how hard it must be for people who do have children. We've got at least 5-6 years worth of student debt that we're paying off, and at the moment I'm only paying my interest off, and so I'm not really making any leeway in terms of that, and I'm still paying for exams. For example, I've got an exam coming up next month which is costing just over £350, and I have to pay for that out of my own pocket. I don't get subsidised for that. I don't get any recompense for that from the trust. I also choose to pay for things like courses to keep myself up to date, and my colleagues do as well. And again, I don't have children. I don't have elderly, frail parents who I'm paying for care for. And so I can prioritise my job and choosing to work in the NHS. But there are colleagues I do know who've had to step out of their roles because there's nothing more they can do. I think for every doctor, it's a vocation. We choose to work the long hours. We're aware when we sign up it's not a 9 to 5. We work night shifts. We work late hours. We stay after. It's not like when 5 o'clock comes if you're working a 9 to 5 shift. It's not like you then leave at 5 o'clock. If you have a sick patient, you stay, you hand over. There's been shifts where I've stayed for hours after the end of my allocated shift time, but I've stayed there because I want to make sure that my patient's safe. And I think we're just at a point where we just want the acknowledgement that we work a really hard job and we love it and we do it because we love it, but we just need to be treated with fairness and compassion, and I think the government needs to see that.
Could you still recommend it as a career choice for some young person thinking about it?
I think I am so hugely passionate about medicine, about caring for people, and about the NHS that I still would recommend it as a career choice, and that's why I'm here on the picket line. I think there's a lot of people who might have given up by now, and a lot of people who would have said, well, enough's enough, I'm just going to leave the profession. But I'm so passionate about the NHS. I'm so passionate about A&E, being on the front line, being able to really, people who come in who've had the worst day of their life, I'm there to really try and make a difference, to really try and treat them with care and compassion, and with the best medical care I can. And in order to give the best care to people, I need to be treated fairly. I need to be paid appropriately. I need to not feel that I'm coming to work and I'm not appreciated. And I think we can see that in the people coming past, the people tooting their horns, the support that we're getting from the general public. It shows that our jobs, we are making a difference. And that's why I would continue to recommend it as a career choice, because we get to make such a difference to people's lives with our care. And I just think there's no greater profession, but we can't all burn out. We can't lose the fair treatment that we deserve, because otherwise there won't be any doctors left.
Okay, thank you for talking to us, and thank you for what you do. Well, there you go. Very passionate thoughts expressed very well from Lottie and John. Loads of support here from everyone driving past. So we'll leave it there.